Welcome to Withubb Limited. My name is Ugochukwu Joseph, and today we are going to be covering canvas elements. So we are going to draw boxes with random colors and at random points using the HTML5 canvas elements, and then we use JavaScript to add some animation like the one you are seeing on the screen. This is exactly what you are going to achieve today. You see we have random colors and the random boxes at random points, and when you hover it, the animation stops. And when you remove your cursor, the animation starts again. It will continue. The animation will continue endlessly. So now let's get started. So basically, you are going to be able to draw cool animation frames. It could be rectangle, it could be arc, it could be curve, whatever, in your web page using the HTML5 canvas element. So how do we create this? Now we start by, first of all, let's create our HTML page here. If you haven't created a canvas, I created a blank HTML5 document here. So let me create our HTML5 element. So click this one if you're using VS Code, and it automatically generates our document for us. So here we say canvas element. So for the title, so here in the body, here is where you create your canvas elements. So here in the body, let's say created our canvas element. So we can easily say here is our canvas elements. Boom. And let's run this particular page with live server. Okay, I think we are running this on live server already. So let's go here. And boom, this is our canvas, and then run it with live server. Open with live server. So, and boom, this is our HTML canvas. Sorry, just kidding. So you see, when you create a canvas element, it doesn't respect anything inside here. The only thing is with the canvas element is waiting for is actually a scripting language like JavaScript or a web graphic library API that can be able to manipulate it and then create your graphic or animation. So that is the only thing the canvas element is waiting for. So, but when you add something inside it, it will never and can never display in the browser, including the HTML, the canvas element itself can display on the browser. So now, how do we display something? We use a scripting language. So in our case, we're going to be using JavaScript. So let's first of all style our canvas elements. Unlike every other HTML element, it supports all the global attributes. You can give it an ID, you can give it a class name, our ID here will be my canvas. So now let's style this elements here. Control copy, and then we say, let's add our style somewhere here. So let's say, and then use an inline style, enter. So we can easily say hashtag control V. So this is how you add inline styling in your HTML documents. So you basically create the style elements, and then anything you add inside here that is a valid CSS code will apply those style in your documents. So let's style our canvas elements. First of all, we say height. We give it a height of 600, give it 600 pixels. So we still have more space on the screen in case you want to do something else with the screen. So then we give it a width of 100%, which is the whole screen. So what else are we going to do here? I think we give it a border. So basically, let's save this one. If you go back to our browser here and we click here, you can't see anything, even though we have given it a height and width. You can, even if you refresh this, you can see. But if you inspect this page, you can see our canvas elements sitting right before our page. Let's quickly inspect this page. Responsive. So let's quickly inspect this page here. So if we touch this arrow here, you see this particular element here is our canvas element. Looking at this layer here, you can see the height 600 pixel and the width 100% we've given our canvas element, but you can't see it on the screen. It's just your board. I think something like your whiteboard where you will draw your graphics. So let's close this thing up and go back to our code so we can do some. So now let's give it a border so we can be able to see the canvas element border 2 pixel solid black. Okay, so now let's go back to our browser so you see something here. You see now our canvas element is now displayed on the web page. I know you see this place, there are still some opening. By default, the browser gives the body elements a margin top and then left. So maybe we can just change that for a while. Let's change this something where you need it. You can always add it back. You can say style, margin, 0 pixel. So when we go back to the browser now, look what we have. So the canvas elements have filled up the whole page, except for the height, because we already given the canvas element is 600 pixels. So I think this is 600 pixels. So we still have more space. So now let's go back to our canvas element and now use JavaScript and create something cool. So let's go down here and create a script tag. Script tag. So this is how you add inline scripts to your web page. You can use the HTML script elements. So now let's get our canvas element with the ID we've given to it. So you can say constant our count is equals to document dot get element by ID. Get element by ID by canvas. By canvas. So here we go. So now we've gotten our canvas. So before we be able to do anything to our canvas, we have to say get context like this. So now to get our context, we say variable ctx, which is the context you're going to be using, is equals to our canvas, our canv docs gets context. Make sure we're not making a mistake. Then we now say 2D. So we're going to be drawing 2D here. So let's go down there again. So now it's time to draw our rectangle. So we can say ctx dots fill rect. We say, okay, let's say 20, 20, now the height and width of our rectangle. So we can say 300 by 300. Let's see how much we have here. Now we fill the rect with color. So we can say ctx dots fill style. Let me explain something. Let me make this box a little smaller so we can explain something about this values here. So those values you are looking at here, okay. Now we have our rect 30 by 30. So now this place is the x-axis and this place is the y-axis. See, this place is the x-axis and this place is the y-axis. So, and here is our point from this point here to this place. If you measure it, here is 20 and here is another 20. That is what we did here in this first value. This first value is 20 and this second value is 20, which define the x-axis and the y-axis of our box. So from that y and x-axis, we now place our pen, our drawing pen. So as we place our drawing pen, we move it to 30 and then we move it back to 30 again. So this one moved to 30 and this one moved to 30 and it closed them up, which is make our rectangle. Let's do some cool animation with it. You can draw multiple canvas, multiple box. Let's draw multiple box. Now, just by duplicating this, now we can be able to draw multiple box. You can give this one a different, you can say this one is in 60 and this one 70. And we go back again, give the x-axis 80 here and give it 40 here. And we go down again and give this one 100 and then give the width here something like 90. So if you go back to our canvas background, you see we have box at this different x and y axis points. So now let's do some cool something with this our rectangle here. So you see how wonderful this canvas element is. Let's first of all get the width and height of our box. So we can say let's count underscore height is equals to our canvas dot height. Let's duplicate it. So let's canvas wt, which is our width, is equals to canvas dot width. So this is basically the height and the width of our canvas elements. Let's add some quick comments here. There is the mass API in JavaScript. So there's an API called the mass API. So you can use the mass.random, mass.cell, mass.floor. So basically you can generate random numbers from them. Now variable. So we can say rand ht num is equal to, then we use our mass API here. So we can say mass, this is the mass API, mass, let's use mass.cell. And inside mass.cell, let's still use another mass.random. So this will create random number. Then we times the random number. So we times the random number with our height here, our canvas height. So this will create random number that will be from 0, but it will never exceed the height of our canvas elements. Let's duplicate this and create for the width. So our WT, and then we here can say our WT also. So we now have this variable can create a random number. This first variable here, we create random, it will create random number from 0, but the number will never exceed the height of our canvas here. Same thing applies to the width here. So let's go down again. And now let's apply this to our canvas element. Instead of using 20 here, we now use the width. Control copy, we use the width here. And in the second one, if we copy, we use the height. So let's go back to our browser here. You see it, if we refresh this page now, our box is moving to many places, you see. I think we made a mistake somewhere here. Okay, the height we should calculate this 30 here to the height. So let's minus it. So let's minus something like 60. So it won't even go too close to the border. So let's minus 60. So now let's go back to our browser. Don't think it should go. See it now. We now have a random animation, random position of our box. So now let's do some cool, wonderful thing with this animation again. So now we are able to make our canvas box move to different position in our web page without having to do it the manual way. So now let's do something with the JavaScript set interval. Okay, now I noticed something. Our style, we said red here, but it's not working. Oh, we made a mistake here. We can say equal to red. Okay, let's go back to. Oh, still not working. I think there's still a mistake somewhere. Okay, I think this should come first before we fill our rect Control S. So now let's go back to our, yeah, now we have our box in red color. So we can basically give it any color we want. So, but now let's go back and use this. So there is one wonderful function in JavaScript, which is the set interval. So if you don't know what set interval is, I suggest you go search some documentation about what it is. So, well, now let's set interval. What set interval do is this. It sets a time frame of when to perform something, and after that time frame, it performs it again, it do it again over and over at that specific time frame. So you set interval, you give it a time, and after that time frame, it will do that same thing you specify again and again and again. So now let's say set interval function. So here is where you specify the number of time in millisecond you want the interval to wait before it's reoccur again. So let's say, in our case, let's say 300. So now what we do is this. I think, okay, the best way to make this thing work very well is to wrap this inside a function. So we can say function random canvas. Then we don't need an argument in this function. So the JavaScript function is basically a block of code that does particular task. I don't know how to explain it again. So this we now copy. Let's move all this inside this function. So we can easily call the function and it's doing the work. So if we save this in and go back to our browser, our box is gone. You know why? Because before anything within our function will execute, now we have to call this function. So let's call the function, copy. Let's now call the function inside the set interval. So when we call this function here, what does is this. You remember, if we call our function, it will execute this task for us. It will create a rectangle for us. So, and this set interval here, every 30 milliseconds, we call our function and we create a rectangle. Immediately we call our function, we create a rectangle. Once we call our function, we create another rectangle. So now let's check if it's working. Oh my God. So let's refresh the page. See, it's creating multiple rectangles. So to make something more wonderful, we were going to be changing these colors randomly. You know, we have only red color here. So we have to be changing their color. Once it's calling them, it's also changing their color also. So let's go back to our code and create an array of colors. So we say variable our color array is equal to, so let's create an array. You know what array is in JavaScript? I don't know if you know. You basically create, so yeah, let's use the JavaScript array and create a color array. So where we can store all the color value we want to be filling our box with. So let's say red, comma, blue, black. Let's say use black. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 colors here. So now let's make this color. You know, if we are adding all this color one after the other, if you want to be displaying this color, we have to come here in our favorite, and then we call this color array. So let's do something quickly. If we come back here and paste this color array here, and we say this array, this one is in index 0, and this one index 1, and this one index 2, and this one index 3. So if you want to be doing them manually, we have to come here, and this one, since this blue is index 1, so we can basically say 1 here, and when we save this in and go back to our browser, our boxes return to blue. So if we go back here and then we change to 2, which is now green, when we save this in and come back to our browser, the box are now green. So how do we make this thing select randomly? So we also use the math API. Here we can bring it down again, and then we say random color here, rand color. To math.cell math.random, no longer canvas.width, but here our array.length. So we use the array length in JavaScript, array Control V. So we use the dot length, so to make sure it doesn't exceed the number of color we have here. So we are basically changing the number randomly to either 0, 1, 2, 3, which is the colors we have here. So any one that is being generated by this random math API, if it is number 2 here, it will be displayed in green, and if it's number 3 here, it will be black color. So now let's go back and copy this random color generator code and copy it, and then we paste it inside this particular one. You see how what happened here? So we are now, this color array, here is it, and then the random array value inside it, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, is now being generated by this math API using the length of the array, and here is the color value. Let's save this thing and go back to our browser. Look at the browser now. We are now generating random color. So, and I think red is omitted. You know why? The math API, I think it doesn't count 0. So for that, we can easily say +1 here, -1, not +1, sorry. Let's say -1 to S. Let's quickly go back here. And now you see we have all our colors. You can add as many colors. You can even use the color, the HTML color value, and the color we pick randomly. You can use the RGB and change the value randomly. So you get different wonderful colors in your web page. So now let's go back and add more colors to it, and also increase the speed. So we can come here again, and then we add yellow. We add another one, pink. I don't know if this color value is good. We add pink, we add yellow, we have brown, have gray. So remember this set interval function tells your browser the number. It tells Java. You remember this is the speed the element is being. So if you add something like 500 here, you will see the speed will reduce. See, the speed is reduced now. So, but if you go back and add something like 10, it will fill up this page. Let's try it. So let's try it. We can go ahead and say 10 and then save it. So when we go back to our browser, you see, we have successfully filled the page instantly. See what we have here. We're basically creating random animation on top of each other. So you can add anything you want, add as many color as you want. So, and you can reduce this. Let's reduce the size of the boxes. So here, I think let's do 30 here. So the whole page will be filled. So this 30 is basically the 30 here and the 30 here. So we minus it from our comments. Then here, we now go ahead and reduce the box. So let's do 10 by 10. 10 by 10, and here we also reduce it to 10, and here we also reduce it to 10. Then we save this thing and go back to our browser. You see what we have here. You see wonderful animation we have here. So this is how you create rectangle with your canvas elements, not only creating the rectangle, but also giving it some cool animation. You can reduce it to be very tiny, 2 pixels. Let's make it 2 pixels. Let's see what happens. So we can easily say something like, okay, let's use 5 pixels. So 5 pixels there. And then here we also do 5 pixels. And then 5 pixels again. So we save it and then we go back. And you see, we are getting something very cool from our canvas animation. You can reduce the speed, so many things you can do with it. I think in the next tutorial, if we still cover about canvas elements in the next tutorial, we can talk how you can draw a circle or do some animation, draw your text. So, but this is something we're going to do before we end this video. We are going to make a mouse event. So that mouse event will basically trigger, if we hover over this box here, the animation will stop. And if we remove our cursor here, the animation will start again. Or we can do it either way. So, but let's do it now quickly. So what we use here is JavaScript event listing. So JavaScript event listing, but because we already have this thing inside a function, so we no need to stress ourselves again. We can come up here and say something like this. Say variable can animate is equals to true. So here we can easily say if can animate. So condition, we are giving it condition now. If can animate it is equals to true, then we should play our, let's hold this one down. We are basically telling this our JavaScript code is, if can animate, which is this particular variable here, if can animate is equals to true, so play our canvas. But if can animate is not true, then don't play our canvas again. So here is where that is what we call conditioning, and this one is if statement. So we can say else, we don't play. So here we can add other things like do another thing. So, but we don't have any other thing to do here. Let's first of all go on with this one, Control S. So we can now say we can add event listener, which the mouse events. We have mouse enter, mouse out. So let's check. Here is where we add our event listener in our canvas element, which is our canvas. So we see here our canvas dot add event listener. So let's say mouse over. So let's do function function statement. We don't need a function name, neither do we need a parameter and argument. We don't need that. So here we can say, okay, so let's add another one, which is when the mouse leaves the event. You can say our canvas does add another event listener, add event listener, mouse out, mouse over, and then mouse out. So we now say another function. We don't need function name either, neither do we need this argument here. So here we have the mouse out and the mouse over events listener here. So all this mouse events, the mouse over is waiting when you hover over the element with your mouse, it perform anything you specify inside this place. And this one, when the mouse is out of that box, it's perform anything you specify. And since we already wrap our set interval, our function in a set interval, and inside the set interval, we come again and wrap it with an if-else statement. So we can basically change this if to false. Then when the interval wants to play again, it will check and see that the can animate is no longer true. Then don't play, we execute. So let's go back again in this place and say mouse over. We can say can animate is equal to false. Let's see if we can go back to our class. If we hover over this thing, you see all our animation stopped and we are stuck. Oh, let's check the second one, which is mouse out. So if you now, let's copy this one and then say when the mouse is out of our animation, so can animate will now be true. So can animate, I don't like that mouse. Let me change CSS. I don't like the mouse. I don't like that mouse. So you can use the cursor. And we set that to pointer. Set that to pointer. Now we have a handle. So if we hover over this place, our animation stop. But then if you remove it, we continue. If you hover it, we stop. If we remove it, we continue. So this is the basic animation, the canvas elements using JavaScript can do to your web page. Whoa, and now this is our result. If we hover it, it stop, and if you remove our mouse, it continues again. If you love this video, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and on the comment section, drop your comments on the next video you want us to drop on this channel. Thank you and goodbye.